I never thought a missing paycheck could burn my whole neighborhood down, but when my HOA president called 911 screaming that a dangerous black man was impersonating a cop and trying to rob her while she was literally holding my son's stolen paycheck in her hand, I realized this wasn't just mail theft. It was war. My name's Marcus Miller. 15 years on the force detective in major crimes. Off duty, I'm just a dad living with my wife and 16-year-old son Eli in a picture-perfect suburban street called Rosewood Drive. You know the type: identical lawns matching mailboxes, HOA patrols, making sure your trash cans don't stay out past midnight. And at the head of it all was Carol Barrington, queen of the HOA. Mid-50s platinum bob gray pantsuits, always strutting around like she owned the block. Eli had just gotten his first job at a local diner, the Greasy Spoon. The kid was proud, bringing home those paper checks every 2 weeks, saving them in a shoebox like a trophy. Then, one payday, nothing. No envelope. He figured maybe it got lost in the mail. But after another cycle came and went, still nothing. He started asking me every day, "Dad, did my check come yet?" And each time I had to shake my head. Watching that spark in his eyes fade, it broke something in me. The manager at the diner swore he mailed the checks himself. That's when my cop instincts started whispering this wasn't a post office screw-up. Someone was taking them. So one morning I brewed a pot of coffee, parked myself by the front window, and decided to run my own little stakeout. At 11:30, the mailman came like clockwork. I saw the diner's logo on one of the envelopes and felt relief. Finally. But I didn't move. I waited. An hour later, I saw her Carol in her gray suit walking out of her house like she was heading to a board meeting. She grabbed her mail, then casually reached over into my box, plucked out the rest, and started flipping through it like it was hers. When she tucked my son's paycheck into her stack and slipped the rest back, something inside me snapped. I stepped outside. "Find anything interesting in there?" I asked, leaning against the door frame. She didn't flinch, just gave me this bored, superior look. "I'll be taking this," she said, waving the envelope. "We can't have people like you getting handouts around here. I'm doing the community a favor." I was stunned. Not scared, just stunned. I told her she was committing a federal crime. She smirked. "Oh, please, you're not a cop." Then she pulled out her phone. "I'm calling 911, she said dramatically. "There's a large man impersonating an officer and trying to rob me." While she performed her little panic act, I calmly called dispatch. "This is Detective Marcus Millershield, 8282, off duty at 212 Rosewood Drive. My neighbor just stole my mail and is making a false emergency call." Then I waited. When the patrol cars arrived, I recognized both officers, Dave, a veteran, and Peterson, a newer recruit. Carol ran to them like she was in a soap opera. "Thank God you're here. He tried to attack me," she wailed, clutching her purse, the same purse with my son's check inside. Dave kept it professional, asked for her version first. She spun a beautiful web of lies, claimed I was loitering, claimed she confronted me, and I lunged at her. I stood there, silent, hands in pockets. When Dave finally turned to me and said, "Miller, you want to tell me what's going on?" Carol's eyes went wide. You know him." Dave looked her dead in the eye. "Ma'am, this is Detective Miller, Major Crimes Division. I suggest you let him talk." Her face drained of color. I explained everything step by step. Then I said, "The paycheck from the Greasy Spoon should be in her purse right now." She shrieked, "You can't look in there." "No warrant," but Peterson said calmly, "Ma'am, if you refuse, we'll detain you until we get one." And right then, Eli came outside, wide-eyed, asking Dad what's going on. Carol saw him and in one last burst of poison pointed at him. "That's the boy. He's been casing the neighborhood. That's his payment for being a lookout." Something in me broke. I turned to Dave. "Arrest her." She screamed all the way into the cruiser. But her husband, Arthur Barrington, a slick, silver-haired attorney, showed up minutes later in a Mercedes, threatening to end our careers. The arrogance was radioactive. And the next morning I was called into my captain's office. "Marcus," he said, rubbing his temples. Arthur filed a complaint. Racial profiling, abuse of power, falsifying evidence. I was benched. Desk duty. Just like that, the thief's husband flipped the narrative. Letters went out to every HOA member warning them about unstable individuals threatening community safety. The Facebook group Rosewood Watch popped up full of coded posts about certain families. My wife got dirty looks at the pool. People stopped waving. My son stopped playing basketball outside. I started wondering if I'd done the right thing. Maybe I should have just let the system handle it. Maybe confronting her was a mistake. That's when a single mom down the street posted online missing birthday cards, cash gone from the envelopes. I reached out. She told me she'd seen Carol snooping around her porch. That's when I knew it wasn't personal. Carol was a serial thief. I hired a civil litigator named Jenna Cortez, a shark in heels with a grin like a wolf. I told her everything. She didn't flinch. They've overplayed their hand, she said. We're suing for defamation, and we're going to crush them. Within weeks, her team uncovered the smoking gun Carol had been cashing Eli's stolen checks at a seedy check cashing joint across town, paying a broke college clerk under the table to skip ID checks. When we subpoenaed the footage, the owner suddenly found the missing security tapes. There she was, Carol smiling into the camera holding the checks. The story hit the local news. Prominent lawyer's wife caught stealing teens' paychecks. The tide turned overnight. Neighbors deleted their posts. HOA members resigned quietly. Arthur's firm panicked. That's when he panicked, too, and made his biggest mistake. One morning, Internal Affairs called me in. The detective slid a photo across the table, a bag of white powder next to a torn diner pay stub with my son's name on it. "Found in a public trash can on your street," he said. My stomach turned cold. Arthur was trying to frame Eli as a drug dealer. I took a breath. "Which trash can?" I asked. "The one in front of the Hendersons' place," he said. I smiled. "Get a warrant for their security cameras." The Hendersons were retired paranoid about safety. Cameras everywhere. An hour later, we watched the footage together, 2 to 13 a.m. Clear as day, a silver Mercedes pulling up. A man in a hoodie steps out, looks around, tosses a small bag into the bin. He glances up, perfect side profile. It's Arthur. The great Arthur Barrington, senior partner at a prestigious law firm, caught red-handed planting fake drug evidence. He confessed. Said his wife had kleptomania. Said he'd been covering for her for years, paying off stores to keep it quiet. When I caught her, he panicked. His world, the prestige, the reputation was crumbling, and he'd rather destroy mine than face the truth. Carol pled guilty to mail theft, forgery, and obstruction, probation, fines, and mandatory counseling. Arthur was disbarred and sentenced to a year in prison. The HOA dissolved under scandal. I sat in the back of that courtroom watching him in handcuffs, face hollow eyes down. The man who'd tried to ruin my son to protect his pride was now just another defendant waiting to be processed. There was no joy in it, no victory dance, just silence. When the gavel fell, I realized something simple and terrible. All of this months of lies, threats, public humiliation had started with a stolen envelope in a mailbox. A small act of greed that spiraled into ruin. But that's how it goes in neighborhoods like Rosewood. People like Carol and Arthur build their lives on control, on fear, and when someone stands up, they crumble. I walked out of court that day passed by my own black metal mailbox. It looked ordinary, but to me it was a monument. A reminder that integrity isn't loud and justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's just the quiet click of a mailbox door closing on the truth. Lesson. Some battles don't start with fists or guns, they start with standing your ground when a bully thinks they own the neighborhood.